Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode on Trends. My name is Nakali Eskonakali, and with me I have the delectable, of course, to my right, or to my left this time, I have the amazing Shefilia. Shefilia, say hello to the people.
Hi, people. Welcome to another episode of Trends.
Yeah, and then to my far right, I have Lewa. Oh, come on, say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trends.
Yeah, and of course, to my closest right, I have the amazing, the delectable.
Hello, everyone. Good to see us today on Trends.
Yeah. So on today's episode of Trends, we are exceptionally excited because we attempt to put to rest once and for all. Something that seems to be trending every other day, every Eke market day, it seems to be trending, and there's need for us to bring perspective to it, and that's what we are going to be doing on today's episode, right? Permit me to read out, because we had a fancy caption for it, and I don't want you to miss out on that caption. So I'll just read out that fancy caption in a moment of time. Now, this is what we called it. We said, the influence of the church, unpacking the socio-economic impact. Layman's English, what are we trying to say? Now, the accusation against the church for the longest time has been around the fact that the church seems to have not weighed in on her corporate social responsibilities. Many a times it's in comparison to the fact that most of the institutions, hospitals, schools that came into Nigeria, we're using Nigeria as a case study, right? Came into Nigeria, were brought in by the missionaries, by churches. But there seems to be a narrative that that's impact or that contribution has waned over time. So many a times there seems to be an accusation, instead of building churches, instead of building factories, you are building churches. Instead of building schools, you are building churches. Instead of building countries. And it's crazy. Even though that logic is just flawed, I don't want to get there, but if you're comparing us with other countries, is it the churches that are building it there?
Yeah.
I mean,
or the government.
The church in Nigeria is one of the most foremost, what I put in now, foremost participants in corporate social development. I mean, the church does a whole lot. And I'm not just here, we're not just here to say fancy words or try to convince you. We have stats to prove to it. And that's what we're going to be delving into on this episode, right? Yeah. So first things first, PJ, let me start by saying, it is important that we understand what the role of the church is. Because I realize that most of these misconceptions come because we tend to major on the minor and minor on the major. So that when people say that, why is the church not building factories? Why is the church not building hospitals? Number one, it is because we have failed to understand that the primary responsibility of the church is not charity. The church is not a charity organization. No, it is not. Does the church do charity? Yes. Do we help the needy? Yes. Do we put up schemes and programs that helps to empower people? Yes. But you cannot blackmail the church by saying if the church is not doing that at a season or at a time, the church is church is failing. No. That is not the primary responsibility of the church. First of all, the church is first the people. Yeah. So when people complain that churches are building buildings, auditoriums as opposed to building factories. Number one, the logic is simple. Where do you intend to keep the people that are at the church? Yeah. You and I are the church, right? So if we and I want to worship in a space and we don't have a space, do we stand under the sun? Do we stand under the rain to worship?
Air crusade.
So when you're talking about building auditoriums and as opposed to building factories, it's a flawed mentality. And I'm not just here to tell you, we have stats to prove to it. And then the second aspect with which we are looking at this today is the fact that the church is actually doing more than you think. The church is doing more than you think. Yeah. Many times you just say, the church is not doing this. Go and make your findings. Or if you can't do it, we are here. We have done some findings for you. And we're going to be showing you some of those stats today. So sit back, relax, because you are about to enter something spectacular. You're in for an amazing ride. So let me head straight to PJ and get, what are your thoughts about this?
Okay, so thank you so much for the introduction and laying the foundation. At Trends, we're all about pushing the narratives that advance the kingdom, bringing so many things to light with perspective and insights that will just show you in plain terms that this is where the body of Christ stands. Because for the longest time, there has been loud perceptions, loud opinions that have sort of put the church in bad light. And, so we're just here to show you that the church is not just the four walls. Beyond the four walls, there are tangible impacts that the church has in the lives of people, to the end that there's, culture shaping, nation building responsibilities that the church is taking on. And so that's what we're here on the show today to show us.
Amazing. I like the fact that you mentioned culture shaping and nation building. We are not the people that shy away from the fact that it's part of our responsibility to do nation building, but we cannot be blackmailed into taking full responsibility for what goes on in the country. It's not the truth, because if you leave the government, leave all of those that have been saddled, elected into positions to do those things, and you are blackmailing and gaslighting the church for not doing them, then you are wrong. But then today we have amazing stats for you, and I'll be let me get first thoughts from Leo.
Okay.
What do you have to say about this?
So the fact that the church is not, showing off, posting things on social media of the things that, they've done, grants they've given, does not mean that the church is not doing something. So like Nakali said, you need to fact check. You need to make your findings before you start criticizing whether the church is doing or they are not. And I'm sure that Shephilia has some statistics that she would like to
get into
read to us, so that we'll see that the church is actually, doing a lot.
And so when you look at, Nigeria, you find out that the church in itself, she has about, I think, 38, schools in Nigeria.
So there are about 38
Yes,
schools that are owned by churches, accredited.
Yes, by the church in Nigeria. And I'll just run us through a little statistics about, some universities also owned by the church. So for Redeemers University, you have about 1,000 members of staff. So Redeemers University is owned by Redeemed Christian Church of God, about 1,000. That's a way of the church even providing, employment opportunities for people. So the church in itself is actually even providing. It's also, the church herself has an impact also. So let's look at a school also like Covenant University, owned by Winners. That's Living Faith Church. So that they have about 1,496 members of staff. Then, looking at a school that is not owned by the church now, Ahmadu Bello University, ABU Zaria, has about 2,939 academic staff. Then look at Daystar Leadership Academy, has estimated about 45,000 alumni. So it's actually people that also taught those persons also. So the church in itself is also contributing. So while growing up, I remember in a way I also attended a part, I attended a Catholic school. That was my secondary school. So people are not even talking about the fact that apart from these are universities now, we still also have secondary schools and primary schools owned by the church also. Like I attended a particular, school that was owned by the Catholic Church. They also had a primary school also. There is also another place of the fact that the government in itself also tries to take what belongs to the church. Because I remember then there was a contention about the fact that the land that the school was built on was now, collected by the government, something that was owned by the missionaries. Yeah. So one of the things that actually happened...
A lot of schools were actually
owned,
absorbed by the government. And they were initially established by the churches, the Catholic churches.
Yes, Catholic churches. Because even my home church, St. Rita Catholic Church, has their land already, and then you find out that the government also collected some portions of the land. They started using it as as parks for mechanics, all of those things. They even used it to build the road. So while growing up, I remember then that there was now an issue on ground in court that the church was fighting to collect back what belongs to them, which the government did not want to release. So because of that, they were not sure if they were going to be able to collect that land back. So they could not even really change. The government was not even using the name that the church was also using also. So there was a Catholic comprehensive private school and there was a Catholic comprehensive public school. So there was an issue on ground about the church, collecting what belongs to them. So as much as we say that, the church is not doing its part, the church is not a charity organization. The church should do what they have to do, and in a way they will contribute back to the society. So the government should not also try to collect what belongs to the church also. So when you look at it also, talking about the health sector, you find out that the Catholic Church also even have, hospital.
Really
One of the
awesome
best,
healthcare
actually.
systems.
And it's people that they are employing, And looking at the fact that the church give back to the society, a church like Dunamis has, a platform whereby they train people, skill acquisition. After training them, they also give out grants to people, not loan, no. Like you have to come and pay back. They give out grants. Because when you give out loan, you start thinking about the fact that where will I, get
How
all
will
of
I
this
meet
money?
up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
how will
how will
I
I
meet
pay
up
back?
with the target and all of these things. So the church also in itself is also contributing. So I saw a picture of how, they taught people how to bake and they were still giving out ovens to people. So the people are actually not looking at that part. The fact that the church doesn't actually project those things, like Lewa said, doesn't mean that the church in
church is
itself
not
is not
doing
doing
it.
anything about those things. So people will go out there to learn skills by their own self, and they will start thinking about the fact that I need to get tools, materials to start my business. But a church like Dynamis, whereby they're training people and also still giving them things to support their business, that's a lot already. That's a lot.
I think it's simple, right? If you are saying stop building auditoriums, start building factories, it means that your contention is factories will bring more workers. It means employment opportunities for people. So if the bone of contention is employment opportunities, then you need to calm down and think.
Because the church is actually employing people.
Yeah, I read a statistic earlier, and I, if you don't mind, let me read that statistic to you. It was an article written, I think, from one of the press briefings that Bishop David Oyedepo, who is the general overseer of the Living Faith Church worldwide, he was addressing the students of the Covenant University, and let me just read that paragraph of that excerpt. He said, Bishop Oyedepo briefing Covenant University graduates on the state of Living Faith Church made it clear that the church is waxing stronger, as the church now has 23,000 regular employees who take their pay from the church and or its subsidiaries. Now, this is 2018. This was the start from 2018,
okay.
right? So definitely, I don't know what the
What it looks like.
but let's even just work with this 23,000. Say this is a global figure. Let's slash it. The highest concentration of Living Faith churches are still in Nigeria, right? So let's say half of this number, being mild, half of this number comes from Nigeria. So it means that Living Faith as an organization or as a body employs, let's be mild, 13,000 or 12,000 employees. Now, I did a research on, as at same 2018, the index, the fiscal year. So we got the index of the staff strength of top organizations in Nigeria. It's interesting for you to see this.
Right?
Let me read out some of those stats. Now, I don't know if it's Ambuja Cement had 4.42 thousand. That's 4.4 thousand employees, right? Dangote Cement, which is the highest employer of labor in Nigeria, Dangote Cement is the highest employer of labor in Nigeria, has 18.69 thousand employees. That's Dangote.
Aside from the government. Time?
Yes, Dangote is the private sector, is the company in the private sector that has the highest employees, right? The third company, FCMB, which is the bank, who has had 3.34K. This is 2018 stats. I'm just comparing stats, right? Guinness, Guinness now, has 839 members of staff. Now, what are we trying to say? We are not saying that we are not trying to say, the church is outdoing them. We are saying if you are not coming for Dangote and saying, why are you not doing more? If you are not coming, it makes no logical sense for it. Are you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Think about
it.
If Living Faith alone as an entity employs about 12,000, just putting it mildly, about 12,000 members of staff in Nigeria, it means that it's competing with the highest company, the company that has the highest members of staff in Nigeria, which is Dangote. It's just about 1,000 difference. ABU Zaria, you read that statistic. ABU Zaria has how many members of staff now?
ABU Zaria has about
2,939, whereas Covenant University has 1,490. Covenant University was established, I think, about just a decade ago, if I'm not mistaken. ABU Zaria has been, because it's government owned. I mean, it's one of the oldest institutions in Nigeria. I'm trying to say that before you come for the church, make your findings.
True.
Make your findings. Shefilia was talking about the fact that Dunamis does empowerment programs.
Yeah.
Lewa was also mentioning the fact that it is not out there does not mean they don't
not
do it. Many a times it's not out there because it is a matter of principle. You do it, you're not doing it for the showmanship. You're doing it because it's a good thing to do. It's an instruction from
one of the
Christ.
good words.
Yeah.
Christ even said, if you're doing something with your right hand, your left hand should not see it. So let this blackmail against the church die.
Just
Let it die. You know, I wanted to share a story. So I at some point I was actively in the Living Faith Church, and I have my family, a lot of them still attend Living Faith Church. So I have my roots in Living Faith Church. I'm part of Living Faith Church as it stands. So I can say this on all authority, right? When I was in Kaduna then, the church as at then, this was probably 2007, 2008, I'm talking about. The church then was, if I'm not mistaken, the main auditorium sat about 25,000 people.
Wow.
Yes. Now they used to have 4 services.
And all field.
Nah, what are you saying? 4 services. Then they had a complex.
Sunday.
The complex had about, I'm not sure, but let's say 5 to 7 halls on the complex. Large halls, they were overflows. They will be filled. The parking lot on the streets in front of the walkways, they will arrange chairs, they will be filled. There is Hausa church. Hausa church are for the Hausa speakers that cannot hear understand.
Okay,
That one, they preach to
interpretation.
them in Hausa. There's a Hausa church. Then there's Teens Church, a whole complex of Teens Church.
Wow.
There is Children's Church, a whole complex of it.
Solid stuff.
Now, this is for one service. Now, if you're saying the church should not build bigger auditoriums, a church like that probably has, on an average Sunday, has about 100,000 attendants. The hall can only seat 25,000. And when it was built, there was dragging, so that why you building church so big? So the church had 100,000 attendees, but you had just 25,000. There's going to be stampede.
There's need for expansion.
People are going to die if all of them come. People will choke to death. Some people will have panic attacks. Some people will be stampeded to death.
And begin to hear news about the fact that the church doesn't even care about its
the people.
And they'll say that the church have used them for ritual. Yes, like someone died in the church.
That's true.
My God.
I mean,
That's another topic.
I mean,
On its own.
so it goes without saying, when certain decisions are made, if not for anything, at least for the benefit of doubt, I know that the narrative so far has been that the church is just a business empire. This one is building. No, you have no idea what is going on. Should we talk about scholarships?
Should we talk about grants? Should we talk about leadership seminars and academies? Should we talk about the
Shaping
Covenant
people.
Nation and the platform?
The platform. At least everybody, you know the platform.
Everybody knows the platform
Everybody
and the
watches the platform.
impact that expression of the church actually has.
PJ, let me say this. What the platform is in Nigeria is tantamount to what the presidential debate of some sort is in America.
Yes.
Because when we hold presidential debate in Nigeria, sometimes it's very, you know how
Very
it
funny.
gets.
They ask
But I mean, the platform gives us, it gives us an idea, gives us the opportunity to get into the cutting edge of 21st century leadership.
Yeah.
You see how that Covenant Nation, Pastor Koju invites some of the top thought leaders in the world.
Yeah, in the
I
world.
mean, last
Discuss
year,
and
VC was
analyze
around.
issues.
A number of people bring up national issues, bring up entrepreneurial issues, business issues, matters that cuts across.
Making sure that people are relevant beyond the 4 walls of church.
As you just said that, I just remember the flyer I saw about what's this man's name? He's one of those, top people who is actually pushing out leadership there for Christians, and the fact that if you see the line of people he's bringing Brian Tracy also. So you see what these
Dr. Linus Okorie?
Yes, Dr. Linus. So these people are doing a lot. Even Christians doing a lot there.
Yes. So the onslaught, when you drop it, if you are talking about logic, if we are going to be logical, when somebody says things about the church and you drop facts for them, you will really see that you have not really been so consistent.
Speaking about logic, I have a talk point for us. You know how that so many companies and organizations are always celebrated for how they've been able to expand in a short period of time. Someone's success story could be started a business from scratch and in a decade or in 10 years is in branches all over the world. We don't see that recognition. No. We're not looking for it. But all we always see is an attack on the church. Before you know, they'll say they have branch in the UK. What happened to other states in Nigeria? When God's work is advancing, there's always so many things trying to talk against it because of the impact. And I always say something that imagine what the society will look like without church. In the year of COVID, I don't know how many of us recount this, but there was a spike in crime rates. We saw so many abuse. And I kept saying that this is because, of course, we're all forced to shut down, and then everything was moved online, and we saw how that, many services were online, but it cannot be like gathering people. Do you know how church is preserving the lives and destinies of people?
Amen.
So we're talking
Amen.
about the spiritual impact now, how that people find direction, clarity, and healing, even in church. And then there's now other aspect that the church is now coming together to even now
Creating
do
a
and
balance.
create.
Yes. I was going to say something. You know that even in politics, so I got intel about there's a coded, it wasn't made public. In the Redeemed Christian Church of God, there is a department or a arm of the church that handles politics.
Yeah.
That mentors, teaches, inspires people to go into politics.
True.
And, recently there's been a lot of onslaught against the RCCG, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, as touching politics and all that. But are you surprised that somehow there always seems to be a link with RCCG and the government? Like, you can always see RCCG representing the government. Now, it's simple. Before you I know you might have your opinions, your critiques about all of that. I'm not here for that. What I'm trying to say is this. Before you talk them down, think about the wisdom that has made them consistent in government.
Yeah.
Think about the wisdom that makes it that in almost every dispensation they have their
always a
representative there. Because there is the wisdom that brings you there. So if you have issues with a person, right, but you see the person attain a certain level that you have not attained, humble yourself, learn the wisdom that took him there.
Questions.
When you get there, you do it differently.
Yes.
It's simple.
Yes.
Right? You were also talking
Results
about
cancel insults.
I mean, you were talking about socio-economic empowerment. I mean, empowering the society. Yeah, you talked about Daystar Leadership Academy. So I think Shephilia read that statistic. Daystar has how many alumni?
45,000.
45,000. Over 45,000 alumni. Do you know what that tells you? That tells us that consistently over the years, this church has not just been focusing on the spiritual growth of these people. They have been finding ways to give back to the society by turning. Every society is a reflection of its leaders. So it means that if we are putting in the work, do you see how the multifaceted dimensions of the work that the church is putting in into societal development? So where do you now get your own stats from, my brother? You. Where do you get your stats from?
There's the Covenant Nations Young Professional Boot Camp.
Yeah,
and each year, I see how the leadership of YBP, that's the the acronym, how that they come together and handpick people to actually inspire the minds of young Nigerians. And then these people go to the world and they are better equipped to be active participants of the society. There's always a track record, and it covers different aspects of, different industries, media, politics, governance, all round. And I see that has been done consistently over the period of, for a few years now. And I'm so inspired, because I ask myself, many times, even some of the vocational trainings that our local governments always put out there is not effective. They don't refine curriculums as to what is relatable, what is usable in the world. And the church has been able to devise how best we can not just infiltrating systems, but also become relevant voices in industries. That's so powerful.
So it is safe to say at this point that the reason why there's onslaught against the church as regards, helping society building is not necessarily because it is true. First of all, it's a lie. What I'm trying to say is that it is not true that the church is not doing. It has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that it's not like the church is not doing what they are doing.
A lot of
it's just
are
because
beneficiaries of the church.
Yes, it's the spirit of the last days. Jesus told us that all of these things will come. Because if you're looking at the paper, it's clear, it's there, it's written. You can search it, you can research. The church, I was going to reference scholarships, right?
Yes.
So I have a personal testimony, right? My elder brother finished from Landmark University, and he finished with 50% scholarship. Now, as at the time, we were young. He was not even born again there, so he didn't even like church. But my parents were solid. They loved God. They were in Living Faith Church. He got the scholarship, even though he to St. John like that. But I'm just trying to say that that's someone I know. Yeah. There are other people that I know. We finished school together that took advantage of the of the scholarship opportunities.
Please tell us in the comments.
Yes, so this,
You've
if
been a
you're being a
beneficiary.
beneficiary, I mean,
Just drop it there.
Landmark, at least I can speak for Landmark because I know it. They have different levels. They have their requirements. Once you meet the requirements, you are qualified.
Right, to get
there are
it.
different levels of that scholarship. And that's just Landmark. Talk about the countless. I shared with you the other time, I like I said, I'd been in, this is not, I'm not trying to do image laundry for Living Faith Church, but I know I've been in the system, so I know,
you know how that works.
I have someone very close to me that works in a very top position. So one of those days he came home with a document, and I was wrong to have looked into it, but I did. Let me just confess, I did. And on that document, I saw a list of the people that were under monthly payroll of the church. These were not staff. These were not members of staff.
Maybe
This
people
was-
that needed support.
This was support that was coming to them monthly as though it was salary. They were not members of staff because I had to ask, and he said they were not members of staff. These were people that were being given money. Now, I might not have proof. I did snap it. I did, but I'm telling you, and I won't lie to you, of course. I saw it. This document was like a book.
Wow.
It was thick like a book, and names written back, forward, front and back on those A4 papers that was thick as a book. And I'm like, do people have an idea of what these people do?
Yes.
And that's why you speak against them and nothing happens. You're just talking and you get tired. So before you speak, get your facts right. We can go on, and we are not even trying to be emotional. This is empirical fact, right? But as a matter of bringing this conversation in perspective and bringing it home, to a close, I want to get final thoughts, guys. I know you want to still see much things here, but for the sake of time, let's get our final thoughts. Let me start with Chef Philia.
Okay, so I'll just say the emphasis has been on the fact that the church is not a charity organization. So I'll just say that the church would also continue to do our own part to give back to the society in the way she can.
Yeah, amazing. Lower, final thoughts.
All right. I would say that if you're not a part of something, obviously you might not be a beneficiary of it. And if you're not a beneficiary of it, you should not speak down or talk down on things that are obvious. So I just want to encourage everyone, do your findings. Don't just judge based on the things you see or based on things people post there on social media. There are a lot of, things that are being pushed out there against the church. Make your findings and don't be that bitter person.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leo. Solid. So I just want to celebrate the leadership of some of these churches that we've referenced. Living Faith Church, RCCG, Covenant Nation, Daystar. These are churches that have defined and redefined the narratives. And the beautiful thing is, each year, Dunamis, they keep evolving, deeper life. They keep evolving, keep coming up to meet the demands of the present day society. And that is truly powerful. Sphere of Light Church, redefining narratives, shaping culture, involved and even actively bringing people up to see their place in the society beyond the four walls of church. And this is the era where the church is redefining the narrative, shaping culture, and actively involved in nation building. So always ensure that don't be the one that will be used against the church. Don't let your voice count when there are people who are speaking against the church. Always stand for the truth, because the kingdom of God is advancing and the gate of hell shall not prevail.
Amazing. I mean, succinctly said. Yeah. All right, as a matter of final thought, I would just say, if you want the church to build factories, the church is doing that, because the church in itself is a factory. It has its workers. It has people that are getting their daily bread. It has families that are living off of, the church, the system, the organization of the church. So before you start accusing and saying, what you're saying is just counterintuitive. If you're saying the church should build factories to provide job opportunities, the church is doing that. It is already providing job opportunities. And with more to come, there is still more job opportunities that will be provided. So before you speak, get your logic right, because the church is doing more than you think, actually. And I like PJ said, shout out to these churches. We could only mention but a few. I mean, every church out there that is committed to doing the work of the Lord, and also has humanity at heart, right? We might not be able to call your names, and even we might not even see what you are doing because you don't put it out there, but God sees it. And we celebrate you. We truly, truly celebrate you. And for someone watching us out there and wondering, why are these people talking like this? No. Before you speak, sir, please get your facts straight. And if you get your facts straight, we will get to one of these days have a roundtable discussion, and we'll show you the stats like we read out
minds.
today. We don't mind, truly. And I want to believe that today's episode of Trend has really enlightened you to see how that the church is doing. There is more that meets the eye to what the church is doing. The church is doing over and beyond. Whilst there is still more that we can do, we must not fail to acknowledge what the church is doing in the present time. What the church has done, what the church is doing, and what the church will yet do as God grants us grace if Jesus tarries to come. All right, guys. That was it today on Trends. I mean, we had to do a lot of numbers. My head is doing. But it was important that we had to bring these things to bear and to dead that narrative. So please, anywhere that is bringing up accusation again, just tell them, go and watch that Trends. They have the answers, please. We have those answers. God bless you guys. Till we come your way again next time on Trends. I remain Nakali, and to my left,
Shafilia.
to my right,
Lewa. Oh.
and the amazing
PJ, don't forget to subscribe.
Oh yes, I almost forgot that.
Yes.
Hey, Joe.
Like,
Subscribe
comment,
and share.
It is open.
Follow us on Instagram, Ambience TV on Instagram.
How do you say please in French? Yeah. The editors will help us put it there, right? So that's it right there. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, join the Trends community on Telegram. You can just scan the barcode that is being displayed or click on the link in the description to join the community to subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, across all social media platforms, TikTok and the likes, and we can't wait to have you on our side as we move the narrative of the kingdom into all the ends of the earth. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Bye.